This is a new voice for a new Scotland.
Indylive.radio. Okay, hi and welcome to Indylive.radio, and my name is McEwan and I am joined by Baird, and for the next week also we're going to be talking about the hot topic of Corona-19 and disability issues. Now, so Chris, can you tell us a wee bit about what you do in the way of kind of like disability campaigning?
Hi Michael, yeah, I'm a disability campaigner and activist, campaigning local issues out here in East Renfrewshire around issues in particular about the lack of wheelchair accessible taxis, and also campaigned nationally as well on issues like social security and also different issues that affect disabled people. I've also been involved in doing some peer research around the effective allocation of adapted social housing, also about self-directed support as well. So, and I'm also a independence campaigner as well for Scottish independence. So, campaign for Scottish independence and for disabled people's independent living in an independent Scotland, hopefully.
And obviously, I've known you for years and years, Chris, through disability campaigns and stuff, and also Chris,
unfortunately for you, Michael.
And I used to be, well, Chris was the chair of East Renfrewshire Disability Action, and I took it over about 4 or 5 years ago, Chris.
I don't think taking over is the right expression, Michael. You were given a poison chalice, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. And about wheelchair accessible taxis, we were working on that as well. Also, I'm a...
Is you getting revenge on me?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And also, I'm a kind of like freelance journalist as well, and I've been on Indylive.radio a few times, or on the daytime show. But I think it was right... it's a hot topic, Chris. That's why I wanted to do this podcast with you about Corona-19, and we're going to get stuck into some of the issues in a wee while. So, but I don't know if you saw this story last week in the media, Chris, that disability campaigners have started a legal action against the UK government over the lack of sign language interpreters at their daily briefing. The British Sign Language, that's the BSL users, they said that they have been discriminated against, Chris. And also Number 10 said to BBC that they have an interpreter on the BBC News channel. Now, if you look at the other developed nations here in Scotland and Wales, we have an interpreter standing 2 metres away from the First Minister, whether that could be Micheal of Scotland or Mark Grateford of Wales, and they use BSL, and that's a form, that's a usable language in these countries. And over in Northern Ireland, they use the BSL and ISL interpret sign language, but they're in the same room. But if you look at the briefings on the TV, they appear at the bottom in the wee white box. But I just want to give views on that, Chris, because I feel as though that, this coronavirus doesn't exclude people, it hits everyone. So deaf campaigners has got a right to know, like everybody else, what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did see about that, and it was quite noticeable when you were looking at the Scottish Government daily briefings compared to the Westminster ones, and I've noticed in the past week, I think, that they have started it at Westminster now, but we're now talking about 6-7 weeks into this crisis, so yeah, it's very poor of the Westminster Government, and it is excluding people because it's vital public information that they're getting across. They're saying they're trying to simplify the message so that there's consistency of message as well across the 4 nations. Well, people with hearing impairments should be able to get the message just like anyone else. It is discrimination, and to be honest, it's no surprise that the Tory-led government at Westminster have done this. Yeah, it's really poor. It is excluding people with a hearing impairment. Now, we keep hearing about how coronavirus doesn't discriminate, and it doesn't. Although there's reports coming out in the past couple of days about how disproportionately Black and Asian minority ethnic groups have been disproportionately impacted in death rates, and people have sadly died from coronavirus. So, and I think there's information starting to come out now in England about why that's happening. I think there's socio-economic reasons, but there may be other reasons as well. And I think similar things been happening in America as well in regard to minority ethnic groups as well. And I think a couple of the reasons put forward so far has been a lot of the time people from Black, Asian minority ethnic backgrounds are also experiencing higher rates of social deprivation and poverty, and higher rates of impairments as well, with conditions like heart disease and diabetes. So that might explain why, there's higher rates. So in one ways it doesn't discriminate, coronavirus, but in other ways it does seem to have a disproportionate impact. But yeah, I know I've digressed a little bit there, but yeah, it was very poor of the Westminster government not to be providing interpreters. It really says it all. Really, it's quite stark. So it shouldn't have to take campaigners to take them to court to get that to happen. But, once again, what we're seeing with coronavirus as well is that although we are all weathering the same storm, we're not all in the same boat, because surveys by Glasgow Disability Alliance and Inclusion Scotland and others have shown the disproportionate impact that COVID-19 is having on disabled people and those who support disabled people as well, carers. And it shouldn't really surprise us, because just like austerity for the past 10 years as well, disabled people have been disproportionately negatively impacted by that as well. And it seems when there's any crisis, whether it be financial or pandemic or health crisis, that disabled people are disproportionately affected by it. Now, that's not really fair at all, and there needs to be something done about it. And disabled people are facing particular challenges at this time, as many of the services they rely on to support their independent living, they were already under-resourced as it was, and now they're under even more pressure, and these services have been cut or getting closed. So,
do you feel as though when you're speaking there, Chris, a wee kind of idea, light bulb coming into my head, do you feel as though that the Westminster government didn't want to pay any extra money on top of the new license, because obviously you would have to pay for an interpreter to come in?
I don't know whether it was cost, or I think it's just more of it, as we've seen from so many times from the Westminster government through the austerity cuts that have disproportionately affected disabled people, the inhumane and demeaning work capability assessments and personal independence payments that disabled people aren't even on the radar, aren't even on the agenda, except when they're looking to save some money and make some cuts. That's the only time we're on the agenda. So yeah, I think it's more about that. It just highlights their attitude towards disabled people in general.
I think it's a bit ignorant as well. Discrimination, but also kind of human rights in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone should have access to accessible information, whether that be through BSL interpreters or ISL interpreters, but also for people with learning difficulties and also people who are artistic. So, I have heard of some easy read information that's out there for people with learning difficulties. So, but it's getting that widely known as well, because it can be difficult for people with learning difficulties and other conditions to understand what's happening, and that why they can't go out and can't do their normal activities and maybe go to do the normal things that are everyday things that they do previous to COVID. So yeah, and not even COVID, accessible information should always be available.
Yeah, no matter when it is, you know.
Yeah.
So that was one of the stories we wanted to talk about, because it's a kind of hot potato, basically, and I don't think that's going to go away. So I think we'll keep an eye on that, Chris, and see what develops out of it.
Well, it seems to be that they now have addressed it, or be relatedly, but there's a lot of other issues that are affecting disabled people as well that I think, we really need to be discussing, and that the government really need to get a grip on, both at Westminster and to a degree at Holyrood as well. One of the ones that's concerning me and concerning a lot of disabled people and disabled people's organisations is disabled people being contacted by their GPs and GP practices regarding do not resuscitate. And again, you mentioned about people with hearing impairment not getting accessible information. Well, once again, I would say that's discrimination, and it's also about how you value people, because it doesn't sound like Westminster government have valued people with a hearing impairment, and it doesn't sound like people are being valued who are disabled. Disabled people are being valued because they've been asked to sign do not resuscitate, as if our lives aren't as valuable as anyone else's.
And again, that's discrimination in a way, and kind of human rights. I think there's a common theme here, Chris.
Oh, it's definitely discrimination. There's no doubt about it. It's discrimination. Without a doubt it is. Because, who else is getting asked to sign DNRs to not resuscitate? It's really not acceptable at all. And, some of the stories that are coming through from disabled people through surveys that organisations like Inclusion Scotland and Glasgow Disability Alliance, also in their, I know GDA, Glasgow Disability Alliance, have been doing, done almost 1,600 wellbeing calls to their almost 5,000 members. They've also sent out surveys to the 5,000 members as well. I know Inclusion Scotland have been surveying their members as well, and some of the things that are coming back around DNR are really shocking. As I say, people get phone calls from their GP asking if they'd be happy to get a DNR put on their file and that they wouldn't get admitted to hospital if they became unwell. You can get a much clearer example of discrimination. Someone else, was contacted and felt pressured into giving that permission, and then when he came off the phone, realised that he didn't want to do that. And, we should be getting access to healthcare just like anyone else, regardless of this pandemic. And it's really, it is an infringement of human rights. It's a breach of those rights, and it's discriminatory.
I don't have to tell you this, Chris, but I know that we've been speaking over the years, because I've known you for so many years now, and it feels as though that we've got to fight for what we want, and it shouldn't be like that. And, like COVID-19 is the same, because I know we're going to be speaking about PPE equipment and also personal care being cut, like self-directed support, but I just feel as though that we're fighting for everything, and it's not right.
No, what rights we've got, we've had to fight for, and we have to keep fighting because they're under attack like never before, prior to COVID, and even more so now regarding the emergency legislation that was passed at Westminster, people's right to social care, to an independent life, independent living. That right's been taken away with that emergency legislation. And and the right to life is what we're talking about with DNR. We do have a right to have the equal access to potential life-saving treatment as anyone else. There's been stories in the press about 88-year-olds and older people who have been hospitalised and been on a ventilator and have came through it. So just because someone's got an impairment or their age shouldn't take away their right to potentially life-saving treatment, and people shouldn't feel pressured, almost forced into signing or agreeing to do not resuscitate notices, or being told that it wouldn't be eligible to get treatment should they fall ill. It's just wrong in so many levels, and as I said, it's a breach of our human rights, and it's not acceptable, and it wouldn't be acceptable with any other group in society, so it shouldn't be acceptable with us.
Yeah, well, let's pick up on that point, because we were talking about this a few months ago, about the kind of taxi kind of campaign about, discrimination, and like this wouldn't happen to any other kind of diversity group or ethnic minority.
Yeah, it's a big issue right across the board, when we can see that the NHS staff can't get access to the adequate PPE, and it's also happening in social care as well, and as we've heard very recently, in the nursing homes and residential settings as well. That can go some way to explaining why there's been such a rapid spreading of the virus within the care home settings, because I think within the care home settings, care homes have got to source their own PPE, and because this is obviously a worldwide thing, that there is pressure on getting the PPE, so the prices have went up, and obviously some unscrupulous people and organisations are bumping the prices right up. So when nursing and care homes go to get it, it's sometimes 10 times the price of what it was. But in regards to disabled people, who need that PPE, personal protective equipment, for their support workers and the personal assistants that come in and provide that support to enable disabled people to lead their everyday normal life, ordinary life, and participate and contribute into society. It's been difficult getting a hold of it for them as well. So yeah, it is a major issue. I think there is some moves starting to go happening with some hubs getting set up in local authority areas where people can get access to the PPE for the support staff. Although I've been hearing stories I've been hearing of instances of people who have been able to get the PPE for the support staff, but the family members who maybe provide support in between the support staff coming in, or the PAs, they can't get it for that from these hubs. So that's a bit of an issue as well.
We're turning film class because it's like you're fighting to get that equipment as well,
Well, it's vital to get it so that people can get that vital support, and also to control the spread of the virus as well. Because, support workers and PAs will be coming in, going to, quite a lot of cases, going to different people's houses. So if they're not getting the right equipment, it could be potentially spreading it from one visit to another to different people, and that can have a big impact. And I've even heard of people who have cancelled the support coming in because they don't want to take the risk of the support worker coming in and maybe passing it on to them. But yeah, it is a major issue, and it has to be resolved at that level as well as nationally for the frontline staff, the NHS. Also hearing cases of when some local authority areas are sending letters out to people regarding their social care. The tone of the letter and what's been said in it is quite worrying, and that it's actually a bit threatening, because people are worrying that, well, the key issue is that we already know there's a major issue with social care UK-wide, also here in Scotland as well. Social care has been drastically cut as a result of austerity. So before COVID started, social care packages were getting cut, the amount of vital support people were getting, and now that has been exacerbated by the COVID, where people have had their packages cut completely, or scaled right back, and people's family members have had to step into the breach. And part of the issue disabled people are worried about is that when this eventually is all over, that, you know, the local authorities might be saying, well, you could manage without the support then, so you can manage without it now. And that's, I think, creating a lot of worry for people, because a lot of disabled people have been left reliant on their family and neighbours. You know, and we're talking about people getting support with intimate personal care, you know, to get washed and use the toilet, and, you know, people aren't able to get their PAs and support staff to come in and do it, and having to rely on neighbours, friends and family to do that. And it's the most intimate and personal things that they're doing, and people might not be comfortable with that, but unfortunately they've been left with no choice because of their support's been withdrawn or cut back drastically, and just having to go on with it. So it's leaving people at risk. And it's again, it's like before, when these cuts were happening before COVID to social care, it's a false economy, because all you're doing is shifting the costs onto other budgets. So we're doing it to save our social care budgets, but it's going to just push it onto health care budgets when people become unwell and because they're not getting the right support. So,
I mean, as you
know, sorry, when you go, Michael?
No, I was just going to say, you know, they've had years and years and years and years and maybe more years and years to sort this one out. And for some reason, they still can't get it right. And even when this COVID-19 came into Scotland about 2 months ago now, Chris, they still can't get it right. It's just terrible.
Nobody's saying it's easy, you know. This is, as we hear this expression quite often, these are unprecedented times, and it is, and we know it is difficult for the government at Holyrood and at Westminster, and at local government level as well, and right across the board, all organisations, and it is a difficult thing to deal with. But as we're finding out as well, that there was an exercise done in 2016 for a flu pandemic, and they never took the lessons from it. They didn't take the lessons from it, and we're now paying the price because of a slow response and not being able to hit the ground running. But yeah, like you've said, and I'd said earlier, that social care was a major issue before this COVID crisis. People were getting cuts to their package in, and, you know, social care isn't a cost, it's an investment in people. It means that people are able to participate and contribute in their local community and society in general. It's about people having been able to do the everyday, ordinary things that non-disabled people take for granted, like going to the shops, going to visit family and friends, and having a social life. You know, that's not asking for too much. That's our rights that everyone is entitled to, and that's what it's about. And this has to be addressed, and it should have been addressed before now, this social care crisis in Scotland and in the wider UK, but in the Scottish context. I think there's a parliament at Holyrood looking into it just now, looking into social care. There's a Scottish Government's Health and Sports Committee inquiry on social care. I was at an event just before this started, on the 11th of March, at the Self-Directed Support Scotland National Voice event in Glasgow, and I think you were at the event yourself, Michael.
I was, yeah.
I've seen you there. We had a representative of the Health and Sports Committee inquiry there, and saying that nothing was off the table, that it was all up for discussion and to see how it could be reformed to be made better. And then we heard from one of the people who's leading on it and still talking about it being delivered via local councils, local authorities. Now, one of the issues around that is we'll get 32 local authorities who all interpret the self-directed support legislation in different ways, in so many different aspects of social care, whether that be charging, whether that be through resource allocation and how it's done. So it doesn't have to be delivered by local authority. It should be delivered at a local level, but maybe more in line with how the Independent Living Fund is administered and organised. So you've got consistency across the board. It doesn't matter what part of Scotland you live in, and that your package would be portable, meaning that if you moved from one local authority area, say East Renfrewshire, and moved up to Tayside, then your package should be able to go with you. That doesn't happen under the present self-directed support system, but it does with the Independent Living Fund. We now have a Scottish Independent Living Fund that disabled people and disabled people's organisations campaigned for when the Westminster government announced that it was closing the Independent Living Fund, which provides extra funding to give people that vital support. And that was one of the good things about the Independent Living Fund, is that 97 pence in every pound went to recipients. It was a low administration, and also the packages were portable. So if, like I say, if you did move, your package went with you. There's a lot that has to be done and addressed around social care. It's a major issue because people are being left isolated, and we've got social care rationing just now because there's not enough resources getting put into it. So the eligibility criteria it's critical need. It's severe and critical need is getting met, and there's a whole range of people who are missing out.
Okay, thanks for listening, and thanks to Chris Baird for his comments on COVID-19 and how it affects people's lives with disabilities. If you've got any comments, you can leave them on the Indylive.radio website, and we'll be back soon.
This is a new voice for a new Scotland.
Indylive.radio.